Yeah, it was either go work for someone or create some other product I could sell. So, and I was into the sand cars, and friends of mine were like, oh, you should build some cars. We'll buy them off you. We'll build a couple cars. So I built a few cars, and what I did is actually to start out with, I laid them on it with PVC tube.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lambo and Leroy show. Today we're live from the Stand Show. Sean, who we got today?
Okay, guys, for everyone that doesn't know, I mean, he must have found the fountain of youth or something. He hasn't aged.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But guys, I mean,
that's what I tell the girls. I'm still 38.
100%. You still look it, man. You definitely look it. Anyone that's been in the dunes from back in the days when we watched videos on cassettes and maybe CDs and DVDs, I mean, BuckShot, like it's
no VHS. That's going too far back.
Oh well,
you don't want to date yourself.
You're still 38, right? They didn't have
CDs. Let's limit it at that.
All right, there you go.
DVDs. Yeah.
So just to kind of get the intro going, one of my biggest moments is imagine being in Glamis, Oldsmobile Hill, and you hear a rumor going around. This crazy guy is going to jump the double, right? And the double was behind Olds. But he's going to jump the double. Cool, people have done that. But he's like, no. We're going to do it at night, right?
Oh, yeah, at night.
So there's a rumor going around all day, and then at night, everyone goes to the hill, and all you're waiting for is like, how is this going to happen? And then the craziest thing is the whole hill, whoom, swoops to it. Andrew BuckShot Racing, one of the pioneers with long travel suspension, center pivot A-arms, the X3, X5, I mean, really, guys.
We had the first, V8 cars.
He did.
They're so beefy, so sick.
Long travel,
I've never seen the first ones, dude.
There's some good times, yeah.
There's a lot of long travel cars out there, but for you guys, what you don't know is there's a lot of innovation and stuff in sand cars.
Yeah.
If you are familiar with Andrew, you will know he thinks out of the box with everything out there. All of his cars are unique. They stand out. They don't look the same. People won't copy it because they don't even know how he did it or why he did it. And they're badass. So, guys, Andrew, BuckShot Racing, I mean, he's a legend in the sand industry. We're at the Sand Show.
Things are going off. The booth is going crazy back here.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got Chance back there starting the UTV, the Razor.
They're distracting me.
Yeah, exactly. It's also so distracting.
Let's talk about the days and how them come with the Sand Show was 10 years ago for you, because it was a much different then than it is now for you.
Yeah, it was a little different. I mean, it was definitely only sand cars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a few UTVs, some
rhinos.
Yeah.
Things like that, or some modified golf carts.
Yeah.
Remember the lifted golf carts were the thing.
They were the most dangerous toy we could have were those.
And then the Yamaha Rhino came out, and oh, shit, we got the Yamaha Rhino.
We don't have to
use electric golf cart anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you could never make it through the dunes over to Oldsmobile Hill or anywhere.
Anywhere.
In a side-by-side or a golf cart.
A golf cart. So
the only way to do it was a sand car. If you're good enough, you could ride a three-wheeler.
Yeah.
Two-wheeler.
Yeah.
Quads. People could ride quads.
Some would say two-wheelers are probably the best toy in the sand.
Two-wheelers are awesome, yeah. I mean, but it took a lot of work. You really had to grow up riding two-wheelers to know how to ride a two-wheeler.
Well, and you couldn't take your wife and kids on your two-wheeler with you.
I went to the hill a few times with some girls on the back of my two-wheeler.
Because it was legal.
Before
yeah, but
before the sand cars.
Yeah. We're just going to say before.
So yeah, I would go out there on my three-wheeler or probably my three-wheeler. Yeah, I think first time I went out there. And these guys gave me a ride in their sand car. I was like, this sucks, dude. I'm just getting covered with sand. What the hell?
Because everything pushed, nothing turned.
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, the thing is this high off the ground.
Yeah.
Every time we went over something, I was just covered in sand. Yeah. I was like, what the? This is freaking terrible.
There's got to be something better.
So I just that was my last ride in a sand car of that sort. And, I stuck to three-wheelers, quads, whatever. And then I finally I bought a sand car off a guy that I thought was a good company. And, it was Playtech. It was a twin I-beam, kind of a unique car.
They were very unique.
Yeah,
they were way ahead at that time too.
Exactly. I liked it because it had long travel and all that. But I soon found out that it wasn't strong enough for what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I modified that car, made it a little better, and then I got rid of that car and built another one with them, thinking that was going to be the way to go.
Yeah.
And, That one was pretty good. I mean, I actually hit the double once in that car.
Nice.
Well, they had a lot of desert experience too. They were one of the few back then.
Yeah, their car wasn't bad, but it needed work
Yeah.
improvement. And so at the time, I was still doing jet ski parts and blah blah blah, and it wasn't working out like it should have. So I decided to go into something else. So I did the
Here, pause
the sand
real
car.
quick. You said jet ski parts. Like you were huge in the jet ski market, right?
Yeah, jet skis. I made my own carburetor. I started out by modifying a Mikuni carburetor
Yeah.
and made it a lot better than it was stock. So a lot of the guys were using it to race, and then we wanted to make a bigger version of that carburetor, but we couldn't bore it big enough because we would break through all the castings.
Okay.
So I made my own billet carburetor and made a 50 millimeter carburetor that I
Wow.
designed.
Which that's really ahead of the time back then. People weren't doing stuff like that, right?
No, we were the only ones that had like a 50. We had a 52 millimeter, and I sponsored all the factory teams.
And
we
these are
won
like
all
the
world
550s and
championships,
stuff back in the day, right?
550s, 650, 750 jet ski stand-ups,
Wow,
all that
man.
stuff, all the
So this is
two-stroke stuff.
IJSBA and like all the
Yeah,
jet ski
I
racing,
sponsored all the
World
factory
5000 have it too.
Sea-Doo, factory Kawasaki.
Wow.
All those guys had our carburetors on
That's
back when
cool.
they won the world championships. And
So then paid. Obviously, you were always searching for something better, looking at things, trying to dissect it, make it better, improve it.
that business was really good because it was, so I had such a unique product that I was able to sell it all over the place.
Yeah.
Actually, the internet kind of is what screwed me up because the racers I'd sponsor would all of a sudden be advertising their stuff for sale all across the country.
Okay.
Whereas before, no one would know they had it for sale. They'd have to sell it at a garage sale or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or someone
But
in
once
this
the internet came, I can buy these used carburetors from this guy in California
Yeah.
that he used for racing that he got for free from me.
Oh, man.
And so that kind of made my business
Not
smaller.
a business.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to do something else. And then the jet skis were transitioning to 4 strokes and fuel injection.
Yeah.
And the carb emissions and all the other bullshit that comes
So
along
then
with
that
with
obviously
racing.
opened the doors and kind of led you into the sand car. You went
Yeah.
for a ride. So
Yeah, it was either go work for someone or create some other product I
Yeah.
could sell. So, and I was into the sand cars, and friends of mine were like, "Oh, you should build some cars. We'll buy them off you. We'll build a couple cars." So I built a few cars, and what I did is actually to start out with, I laid them on it with PVC tubing.
no way.
I'm like, I sat in it. I'm like,
Wow.
I don't like this tube right here. Let's move it up.
Nice,
that's
man.
So,
That's
so we just took
awesome.
PVC and just
But, like, what
taped
would-
it together.
Are you
and-
kidding?
but what is your
That's
other
amazing.
option really at that point? Like you didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
another
Yeah, you're not
option.
going to go weld a whole chassis together.
And they go,
But
"Oh, I
it
don't
works.
like it."
Well, you could build a car and weld it all together and go test it, and then you're like, but this way I was able to get like 4 or 5 generations of a car built
That's awesome.
just by sitting in it with PVC tubing.
That's much
Just to
cheaper.
get the
And I
feel.
would even make the suspension. I'd cycle it all. I could make the
No
I could make the
way.
spindles.
Dude,
I could check
that's
Do
my
you have any
buttons
incredible.
there,
pictures or
everything.
anything of that? 'Cause,
I have-
dude, that'd
yeah,
be
I have pictures, but-
awesome.
Yeah,
You're like, I don't want to show anyone that. You're like, it's a little too crude.
That's
Yeah, a little too hillbilly.
Like now
but,
that there's
whatever.
now that there's like CAD, everything going on.
What
here's
year
your
was
Well,
that?
PVC.
even CAD, even to this day, you do CAD, you do computer, but when you get it into real 3D form and you actually use it,
Yeah.
even what shows up on the computer is going to work, doesn't.
It still isn't real
No,
world.
you can design the best things you want on a computer,
Yeah.
and then when you go and use it, sometimes it doesn't work out. So
Wow.
a lot of it still has to do with the old way of doing things. Just build it,
Yeah.
try it. And
So
But
he
that's
also
incredible.
too. I don't know if he had first off, there's so many. You have so many crazy cars that were so out of the box that were like. I mean, you'd come to the sand show here,
Yeah.
and you would go and see what Andrew did.
Oh,
Like,
for
okay,
sure, absolutely.
what crazy ass thing is he have
year.
here
Yeah,
this
what's new
year?
this year, yeah.
One of the craziest ones I went for a ride with one time in Brawley was his X3. So it was a center seat car.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
he'd be
yeah.
driving in the center, but then you had two
seats
seats
behind.
and it was just like nothing you'd ever seen.
that
Like
was-
it was.
See, that's like McLaren F1
that was
style.
well. You know what happened is a buddy of mine that I was racing at the time. I was racing trucks, like circle trucks, like
Yeah.
like spec trucks, like NASCAR thing or
Yeah.
something. And one of my buddies, he was he's pretty well off, and he had an old McLaren race
Yep,
car up on the
yep.
frickin' wall of his frickin'
Yeah.
building,
Sick.
and he had a little model of it. I'm like, let me see that. He
No
goes,
way.
you should build a sand car like this. So he gave
Yeah.
it to me, the model of the car.
Dude.
And just like,
it had that.
okay.
It had the driver up here and the 2 passengers staggered back.
Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, let me try and do that. So I did that and I made it mid-engine, so the engine could be
Sick,
further
dude.
forward, right behind me, but the passengers weren't quite next to the engine. They were still up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I had an automatic transmission, or I used a NASCAR sequential 4-speed.
Okay, yeah.
Sick.
And so I was able to use all the parts without having to buy a transaxle, which was super expensive.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make something without, because at the time there wasn't anything strong. There was a Mendiola 2D, which wasn't strong enough.
No, it never handled that.
So I did this, and I made I took a quick change rear end out of a sprint car, and I put flanges on it to put CVs. So now I had my independent rear, and I had the mid-engine, and I built this X3, and I thought, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I took it out for the first time, like, oh shit, this thing sucks. It was fucking
This isn't
horrible.
gonna work.
It was so that my suspension valving, everything was so far off my spring rates. I'm like, oh my god, I've created a disaster.
Oh, I remember the first time, like, we were leaving there, and we ran over a bush or something, had a flat tire, and we're like, well, we got bead locks, and just kept running it all the way back, all the way to wherever. But dude, cheers to McLaren and thinking out of the box.
We ended up working on that car and changing the valving and spring rates, and it was one of the best handling cars and best driving cars I've ever had.
Well, I don't think a lot of people really understand that. Like, you design something, you build it, everyone wants to be the first. There's a lot of testing that still goes involved.
Yeah.
And you still have to massage it and tweak it and make it what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's a vision. Here's reality. Now let's make it what it is.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot going into building a car. It's not just like it's not just like building exhaust, throwing a muffler on.
Thank God I'm not building cars.
Something easy like that.
No disrespect there. I wasn't
no
disrespect.
That we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna start bringing out the real good
But
stories.
you only have to make one.
Let's not start
component
talking
of a
about
whole
your
car.
tuning.
You know, I got to build everything. So
No, I can't imagine even trying to facilitate that.
it is.
But-
it's like
But the craziest thing too is like, okay, so he went nuts with that, did that. You know, you had your X5 at that point, which is popular. Your X3, what the hell is that? I would say, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you one of the first ones to do like a full body?
Yeah, we got to the point where I got the performance down and the safety, you know, because when we design a car, we think about a lot of the safety. You know, we want to make sure people don't get hurt if they crash.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, that's
Cool,
why
fiberglass, everything.
That's why we have a
pieces.
roll cage, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, we don't want the roll cage close to their head where they're going to get hurt. So we had all that. And then the next step was to make them look more like a car, but still be functional to where you can still see out.
Yeah.
'Cause in the sand dunes, you got to be able to see up.
Which is a lot of sacrificing in looks, trying to make it functional.
So there's guys that made like sand trucks, but you can't see. The fenders are so far out, you can't see anything.
I still have a sand car with no hood, nothing on it, because I like to see what I'm doing.
I mean, that's still good. I mean, we still build cars like that, but we wanted to take it to that next level. So yeah, we made bodies, and there's guys making aluminum bodies, but you can't quite get the same shape as you can. You know, and so I would design my bodies and stand back and look at it. I need to change this, change that.
You're designing like one piece, like at a
I
mold.
do like half the car, you know. So I would make it out of whatever I could: wood, bondo, wire, sheet metal, and then I just shape it and get the curves and everything looking the way I want, the body lines, and then I would take that and then, you know, obviously transfer it to the other side.
Yeah.
I didn't like high tech it and do the CAD you know, scanning and all
still
that.
Like hands-on grassroots.
Hopefully it would be close enough to match.
Did no one would be able to notice it from one side to the other?
Well, I had it pretty good. I got it. Like, I got to say, I got it pretty damn good.
Well,
and,
no, you would look at his finished products here, and you would have no idea how much just hands-on work was on it.
Yeah.
It looked like it was
was
computer generated.
Yeah, it would take almost 6 to 8 months to just create
for
a new
a body
style. Yeah, and I would.
Yeah,
for some reason, I get this crazy idea that I'm going to start a new car this year.
Yeah, but every
it's been
year
long
you
enough.
would.
I need a new body. Like I'm like, oh shit.
And he would show up Lambo doors on the damn sand cars. Like, come on.
And then I'd like, why am I doing this? I'm just like.
You put yourself through it.
Sanding,
so,
a bondo.
You love it. That's why.
So an old video. So I know we got a lot of people here. I'm sure you got somewhere to go to. But I want to bring up an old video. That car we're talking about, these people might know. It was like what Monster Energy, and you were being like, it was dubbed as like a police car, right?
Oh
and
yeah.
You were like doing the street car
Triumph
chase
video
and
with
stuff.
Triumph motorcycle.
Was it the Triumph one? It was
sick.
You guys got to check it on YouTube.
We'll
find
the link in the
We'll find the link.
It's a bike versus car drift 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was freaking badass. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that video. We did
That's
that in
the
New Mexico.
car.
Yeah, that car was just amazing. I mean, you could do everything you want on the street, slide it around. I had a car that I did the Gumball 500 in.
Yeah, exactly.
The Gumball Rally. I mean,
dude, yeah.
So we always wanted.
So we did 500 miles a day in a sand car that I lowered down with twin turbos, like 1,400 horsepower.
Nutty.
But
We
this
went
is going
from
back,
Boston
what, 20,
to
15 years
Quebec.
ago.
Yeah, Boston to Quebec to Toronto and then to Times Square in New York.
Sick, man.
In a sand car.
And these guys are
500
usually
miles a
doing
day.
it in Ferraris and McLarens and
Yeah.
Lambos.
Oh, yeah. And we
and
pull
you're
into
doing it in a
this
sand
town,
car.
and it was all college town, like Quebec.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was like 5 miles of just college kids
Party.
lined up.
Yeah.
And we'd pull into the finish, and where we stay for the night, this freaking badass hotel, and to be all the Bugattis, Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
And they're not
everything.
looking at that at
They're
all.
not even looking at that. They're over at my car. I'm like,
What is this?
I'm like, what are you doing? This is like a $200,000 sand car. There's a freaking $2 million Bugatti right there.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm gonna give a that. Oh,
Yeah, that's so out of the
shit.
box and so different.
Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, by the end of the gumball, they're calling me the fighter jet because they had these turbos. It's going,
Dude, it was rad.
It was crazy,
Shooting
yeah.
off.
So today, BuckShot still building cars, still
Yeah.
building badass cars, still thinking out of the box. Still, now you have a lot more technology you're including into the cars, but you're also getting the side-by-side stuff. You've dabbled in for the last couple of years, but now you got yourself a Pro R, right?
Yeah, we got the Pro R. We're doing a few things with that. I don't know if that's the complete direction I want to go. I mean, I like to just build the big cars because they're so unique. and
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
to see the finished product, but who knows?
But now everyone
$300,000 is a tough for most people.
So, like,
It
the,
is,
the
yeah.
thing is like people refer to you as a sand car builder, but you're not a sand car builder. You're a custom sand car builder because everything you build is one-off, right?
Well, we have certain models. They end up being one-off because of the paint jobs,
Everyone
different
customize
designs.
them, different
But we have like
seats.
5 different body styles. We have different models that they can choose from, and they can customize it how they want. Like the ones we got right now, it's an X6 4-seater, but we changed it into a 2-seater, and there's storage boxes behind. So,
Okay.
so they have storage. They don't want to carry 4 people.
Yeah.
So there's things like that. They're not all complete cookie cutter cars.
Yeah.
Like a Funko.
So if so, yeah, so-
I mean,
I don't throw that in there.
I'm not lying. I mean, he'll tell you flat out that we have one model of car, and this is what you get, and
Yeah.
you can dress it up.
And there's
how you
something to
want.
be said for all of that too.
But that's fine. Yeah, he builds a car that's completely different than ours. Ours is
But-
a little bit longer travel, does different
So
things.
what if I
so-
gather something from this, and if you guys can gather it too? If you come to Andrew, if you have something crazy or you have something, he'll at least
idea.
consider it. He'll run with it too
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you make it
Have
make
fun with
sense, he's willing to go out of the box and do something
no,
crazy.
I love doing stuff that's different that people haven't seen. That like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's like
It blows people's minds.
I haven't
So
seen that before.
now,
so.
one final question. We're gonna let you go. So this has been the Sand Show. We've been doing this for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has it been that long? Jeez.
It has been.
It's crazy. There's not.
You were just a little guy.
I was. I was
Well,
actually.
he still is a little
I was.
guy.
Yeah, shit. Come on, it's
He's
camera,
a
guys.
little bigger.
I know. Rough crowd. Jeez. But so we've got like less sand cars here. Obviously, there's a lot of side by sides.
Yeah,
What's your feeling? What's your takeaway from today at the show?
The side-by-sides are definitely evolving into closer to a sand car. I mean, you got the new Polaris, which is a 4-cylinder 2,000 cc.
Yeah.
That's getting closer to where we're at. You got Robbie Gordon
Yeah.
with his
Yeah,
new car,
the
which
speed.
is, that thing is built stout.
It's
I
sick,
mean, it's
yeah.
It so is, and we just.
it's
Guys, wish you'd get it done because I
it's-
want it to be done so bad because it should be so rad.
it's stronger than the freaking first sand cars I was building for sure.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's
right?
insane.
but
that's
I
definitely
still
fast.
see the sand car part of it as a different part. I mean, because you're only going to get so much. You're not going to be doing the wheelies up the hill. You're not going to be doing 120 mile an hour wheelies down.
Or if you
frickin'
do,
Oldsmobile.
you're going to then endo because the front end's going to blow
Yeah,
off.
and you're
going
not
over.
going to be soaking up a freaking witch's eye that comes
Yeah.
out of nowhere, and your family's going to be fine. And you go right through
Well,
it.
and here's proof
So-
to it. The General Lee BuckShot, you guys all
Yeah.
saw last year. It's a 20-plus-year-old car
That is,
hitting the swing set
Still
double,
saying it.
which, guys, the swing set double is probably the
It's
absolute
huge.
worst jump you can hit in
Dude,
Glamis.
it's so off camber too.
It is so
bad.
horrible, and that
Yeah.
car was still hitting it 20-plus years later. So
Yeah.
good job to that, Andrew.
Thank you.
Love seeing you as always.
All right.
Thanks
Good
for
seeing you
being
guys.
here.
Thank
And you know
Thank
what?
you.
Coming on.
We're going to have to get you back on for a full-length podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
I
you
know
have
the whole
tons
story.
of stories, man.
Oh, yeah.
We want to hear it all.
We could go on for days. You have no idea. Me and his dad. I mean, that's just Sean's nothing. Get his dad on here.
That's
We'll really have
We'll get your
stories.
dad
Yeah.
and Andrew. It'll be real good.
There you go.
Awesome,
Yeah.
guys.
All right, back to
Thank
the show.
you. Thanks,
Next guest
bud.
coming up.
Talk to you later.
Cheers.
There you go.
We are back with our second guest. We're still at the Sand Sports Show. The sun's going down. The day's coming to an end. Day 2. It's been crazy, but our second guest is Tony from K&N Filters. Tony, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
K&N Air Filters, I think everybody knows.
Everybody knows K&N Air Filters.
I mean, they even make like home filters now, right?
We do. We're going for it. Like,
why not diversify?
Yeah, right. I get. You know, they made a big step. There was this big, piece that we wanted to make a couple years ago, which is that we are a filter company, not a car filter company,
okay.
right?
Fair enough.
And we started moving outside, but then now the company's expanded into so much more, even outside of filters, just different products and really off demand of customers and
like candy bars and energy
almost
drinks.
there,
and
almost
energy
there.
drinks.
We're just shy of an energy. That's a good one. I'm going back Monday and pushing that one for sure.
The
I'm
board
getting my
meeting is
stamp
going to
on
energy
something.
drinks.
Well, speaking of that, I'm curious because like I feel like any sort of paper element filter, you use a K&N cleaner on. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like
all the filters.
Like, I mean, your K&N filter cleaners have you got to almost sell more of those than a lot of filters.
We do, well, you'd like to think so, but really, realistically, they last so long. Like you don't have to go so long before you clean them.
Yeah.
So they last so long. Like
That's
you
true.
Go, what kind of business model is it that you sell a lifetime filter, and then you like barely sell any cleaners because it takes you a year before you clean it?
Well,
right?
I have a
exhaust.
lifetime warranty on my exhaust.
Yeah,
I build them to
you
last.
feel it.
I'm like,
You
why
feel
can't
it.
I sell tires that wear out in a
Well,
month?
I'm telling you, I think that's why. And again, talking about those other products, that's now why we sell wiper blades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Genius.
I know. Like,
Genius.
we don't have, we don't have very many products that aren't lifetime.
We
so
need
it's kinda,
filtered underwear.
aren't those a thing already?
I mean, well, they're going to be after this podcast,
I
right?
have to sign that.
Energy drinks and underwear.
There's got to be inserts or something at least.
All right, so
cleaning.
K&N's obviously a giant company, been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one I would call it like a legacy brand in the automotive
It is.
industry, right?
Absolutely.
Like it was, from the very beginning, helped pave the way for. I mean, it probably started like in racing, like most of our brands aftermarket did, and it's been to where it's at now. What is your position at K&N? Who are we talking to?
I am the senior partnerships manager. I think it's just a little bit of everything.
So you have like a hat rack, like this big.
kind of. But I've held quite a few roles throughout. But I've also worked there 20 years. I know I don't look
Nice.
that
Wow.
old, right? But
I
no,
know. Just
I've
a
worked-
fresh shave. It's a fresh shave.
right.
I've only been working at Gibson for 2 years, guys. I'm still young.
Yeah. Just own the name for a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so I'm a senior partnership manager, and everything that I do there is basically on the anything partnership sides, from sponsorships to support with either series, teams and drivers,
Oh, rad.
ambassadors. So it's a little bit of everything when it comes to
Awesome.
ambassador marketing, right?
That's a fun position. It's also, I mean, there's obviously a lot of stress involved with it too, with everything going on, and everybody wanting your attention and wanting K&N because you guys are out there throughout a lot. I mean, because like we were just talking before, you have a lot of markets you're in, and it's extremely difficult to have a presence in everything.
Right, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges is to be everywhere. Having a product that's endemic in every area of motorsports, right? I mean, from lawnmower racing to NASCAR. Like that's literally, I sponsor somebody lawnmower racing.
That's crazy.
And I sponsor NASCAR. So I'm like, there's such a huge range.
I mean, I'm over here beating my head against the wall crying sometimes because I have like power sports, marine, truck, motorhome, diesel.
They have
you guys
everything.
are way worse
Yeah,
than me.
well,
You're
true,
like, shut up,
true.
you little weenie.
No,
Like-
yeah, but here's the thing: is like we still have ADD. I mean, it's not like we're focusing really
true.
heavy on
It's
anything.
this.
It's just like, oh, this is bouncing off of us, And you're right. I mean, the product started, and the whole product actually started from a racing category. K&N, the company's actual name is K&N Engineering.
And that was Ken and Nick.
Ken and
right?
Norm.
Oh, Norm.
So
Oh,
close.
okay.
You got to remember, this is '60s, so there wasn't
There was
even
no
Nick
Nick
back
back
then. There was only
I know.
Norms,
Norm makes way sense.
Hubert, Roger.
Did he own like the Norm's restaurants too?
Yeah, right.
All the above.
That's probably the only older than K&N. No, so K&N started in '69 as a filter company, but prior to that, they were a machine shop.
Okay.
And it was two guys, Ken and Norm, and they raced. They raced flat track racing and desert. It's all motorcycle stuff.
Okay.
They made, and another story. Here's an exclusive for your podcast. K&N's first product wasn't an air filter. We made handlebars.
Shut up.
Yeah,
For
we made like
motorcycle.
3
Who
or
would've
4
thought?
different motorcycle handlebars. We made clutch pullers. We made a lot of different pieces for motorcycles because the guys were Ken and Norm. were machinists, and their passion was racing and doing stuff. And they had like a 4-person race team. Malcolm Smith was on the race team.
Nice.
It was Ken Norm, and it was and believe it or not, it was Ken and Norm Racing, K&N Racing, and Malcolm Smith was one of their riders.
That's incredible.
They used to ride, and then other people got involved, like Jerry Mall, which was a principal owner for a number of years. Ken and Norm retired throughout the years. By the 80s, Jerry, which was like their head machinist, which is one of the main leads for designing the air filter. He's the one that took over the company. Kept it as K&N because the heritage of the name, and it became this filter company. It was all about power sports, and then it turned into automotive, and then we're like, hey, did we forget we do power sports? Let's go back to ADD. So now we're coming back to being in places like this. We're back to the power sports side of it.
So you know what's funny is when we got into the power sports, call it the Rhino Days, 06 area, it was challenging for an automotive business to figure out how to do power sports at the same time because there was a different pricing model, different distribution setup, and it wouldn't blend. I mean, there might as well be the Great Wall of China between it because there was no crossover, and they both looked at each other like everyone was the devil and they were idiots.
Yeah.
So we looked at their model and tried copying their model of the 30 and 30 and the different discounts and you had 2 accounts set up, and it's so complicated and hard in the beginning. It was a nightmare.
Yeah,
right?
they have a whole completely different set of rules.
Yeah.
But you got to respect it in the fact that they're pretty stern on their rules. And
They
everybody
all-
follows it.
It makes sense,
You don't
and it
have any
works.
mavericks when it comes to the power sports industry.
Yeah.
They're pretty much going, everybody falls in line and follows that thing.
It's amazing. Like, it's so refreshing. Then we go back to the automotive side. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you go back to the zoo,
Yeah.
which we
It's,
love, but damn it.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Dude, that is so awesome. Yeah. I mean, we've had K&N air filters on everything we can think
Always,
of.
yeah.
And,
Every
you
vehicle.
know, I mean, on Banshees, hanging off the back with the uni covers, everything. I mean, like I tell people right now when you buy an exhaust, like, the best thing to do for any new vehicle is you put a K&N air filter, drop filter in it, you put my cap back on, and you go run it and have fun.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more. Like, it doesn't go blomp,
perfect.
blomp, or anything.
Well,
it works.
It's your most reliable horsepower and cost per horsepower. The best value you can get by putting those two things. They work together.
Yep.
They
You do go hand in hand.
2 and 2 make 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They make 5,
That's how it works.
Now,
So
he
it's-
mentioned they're not they're a filter company, but they've done other things too. You guys also manufacture exhaust for a lot of people too, right?
We do. We do a lot of exhaust for OEs for different companies, and we make them specifically. That came almost like forced by nature. It seems like it was we were
One
doing
with the other.
We were doing filters and intakes for the OEs, and they needed people to be able to keep up with demand and those kind of things. We actually inherited that business. We bought that business, the OE side of that business, and it was like the company we bought it from. We inherited the company. We basically they were at their end of what they could supply, and the OEs needed more. And K&N had the resources to be able to supply
To produce it.
So that's how it kind of expanded into that piece.
That's amazing. Are you guys still producing everything in Riverside?
We are. Well, yes and no. There's again, we victim of our own success. The resources ran thin. We ran out of spacing. We've got one of K&N's original. I don't say original, but their first big building that they got, and so we're 400-something thousand square feet.
I think
ran
you
out
guys
of
have a
room
full square block. It's
immediately.
crazy.
Well, and we have all the buildings that surround it. So
Yeah.
then we actually did a little bit of a move, and we took a lot of the expansion, moved to Texas.
Oh, cool.
And there's multiple reasons you go to Texas, but
Yeah.
It's not for the weather.
That's for sure.
For the idea of being able to meet a consumer demand. You guys are feeling it, I'm sure. Consumers are used to that 2 days. I want my stuff in
now.
2 days.
Distribution. Obviously, you're within 2 to 3 days everywhere.
And you go to Central Texas, and that's exactly what you're working with. You can get it to New York, you can get it to Washington, you can get it to Florida all within 2 days.
California.
Whereas over where we're at here, you're talking it's a week.
Yeah. And they
It's
want
a
it
week.
now.
So, and so to meet up with that piece, so it made more sense to be centrally located for a number of reasons, not just in the manufacturing side, but like our sales team moved there, and it was just real more strategic to still be able to do traditional things in that way. Because it's taken that part. The industry has actually gone to the part where we do have to service and spend a lot more time with those customers.
Well, so getting back to like your position and stuff, being there for 20 years, you've seen the marketing aspect of our industry drastically change. I still wish it was print. It was
It was so easy back
easier when it was print. Like, you just go to Prime Media and go hang out with all the guys, and it all works. Your ad showed up. Like, all you do is just meet your deadlines for the ad dates, and that was it. But like, so nowadays, it's much more difficult to really kind of know what to expect and how to measure, even though there's tons of measurables out there to measure, but like you really can't measure. It's like we might as well be at the print days when they said, "Oh, our circulation is 1 million." You're like, okay, what does that mean?
Right.
Now it's like, oh, I have all these followers.
Right.
What does that mean?
We used to talk about the same thing. You can go off of these reports, and you're going, how authentic are these reports?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all it's all relative, but they would go, hey, these TV producing reports in your logo this many times. You're going, but was it on the NASCAR that went by?
Exactly. They didn't see that.
The blur, things like that. So, yeah, it was really tough. And then you can go off of circulation, but you're like, but did that guy open up that ad?
True,
there?
yeah.
So,
you
no,
have
we
no idea if
have,
he really
but we
opened
have, a lot more, proven methods for metrics nowadays. But at the same time, there's things like this show here that you can't measure.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
how
you
could
can't
you
measure
measure
it.
this
You
show?
can't because the
And you can't replicate this show.
You can't, and explaining it, right?
Yeah.
Explaining it and going how authentic something like this is.
Yeah.
And it's truly, this is an enthusiast market. And not only is it, this comes to people that aren't enthusiasts, but they leave enthusiasts. That's what's crazy about
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
You can walk through here and they don't come in. They can come to the show and come in non-enthusiast
Yeah,
and leave enthusiast.
Okay, yesterday I had 2 guys come here, and they're like, hey, we just bought side-by-sides. We're new to the market. They're like, why do I need an exhaust? What's an exhaust for?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome. There's
Yeah.
It
new
is cool.
people.
Yeah, it's
See
new.
coming in,
Yeah.
new people. There's more legs on the ground
Right,
running
yep.
this thing forward. Like, it was like really refreshing
Yeah.
and kind of like hearing that, because we often wonder, like, what is the future of our industry without new people coming in,
Sure.
and what are we doing to get new people in?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we can all have our opinion about side-by-sides and everything.
Right.
It's bringing new people
Oh,
in.
huge.
No, if you're kind of a little bit of a marketing geek, I am, and I think Sean, you are a little bit
Yeah.
too. I mean, you think about it in the different categories throughout different even industries, but even within ours, you look at say McDonald's, and you got to go. I'm not a McDonald's fan. I won't eat that damn burger. But I'll tell you what, they do an amazing job of making
Yes, they
McDonald's
do.
consumers daily.
I know.
Right? They do because they start them off with those kids, in that piece.
kids'
Scion,
meals?
the Scion thing, and they followed that piece. I was a huge fan of their marketing strategy for Scion going, hey, Toyota's going to say, I'm going to make this lower price, but you want to make it cool. Let's bring some people and do it. Polaris is another one. I mean,
They've done
not
it.
to knock K&N or
any of
Kawasaki
them.
or any of the other ones, but Polaris went all in,
Yeah.
right? And they said, look, we're just going to create new enthusiasts. And you look at how much it's grown, and you can go out to any desert, and you're out riding. I mean, I know you ride.
Yeah.
We go out here, and you can pull up the next somebody, and it's literally you can see somebody that's been doing this for 20 years and somebody that's been doing it for 20 days,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's such a variance between the two. But, I mean, everything adds value. It adds benefit. And I think that all of us in this industry grows. It just makes it even more fun to work in this area when people appreciate it and they can value
So
it.
here's one thing I've tossed around in my head quite a bit about marketing and sponsoring. Like, you have an influencer,
Yeah.
right? And there's these influencers, but I feel there's multiple levels of influencers,
Absolutely.
and some have more value. So you have the influencer with millions and millions of followers, right?
Sure.
Or you have the influencer with 1,000 followers, but he's the influencer of his group, his friends. His friends, his core group look to him for advice. And then I'm like, this is more authentic, more real, direct marketing than the guy with a million followers.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has followers that he influences. He has people that are envious and look for him for entertainment.
Right.
And so sometimes I'm like,
So it's
I'd
quality
almost rather
followers.
sponsor this guy than that guy. Like, how do you kind of decipher who to say, I'm going to put K&N behind you guys and we're going to support you? Because most people don't realize when you sponsor someone, the work's not on them always. It's on us to let
100%,
everybody
yeah.
know that
Yeah, it
we,
is.
like, we're going to spend a ton of money after we give you money to let everybody know that
We gave you money.
rock our product. We give you money.
Yeah, and I always look at it, and there's two different sides of that. There's the guy that you write the bigger check to, and he does all the work, and he comes in, and he's the one that's actually being the ambassador for you. And then there's the other guy where you write the smaller check, and then you have to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
We have people on both of those sides, and I agree with you. I always use this analogy all the time, which was, that guy that had the small following, and I'm not just talking about social or anything kind of thing, but he has a small following, whether it be a local dirt track racer or whatever the case is. That guy, I was like, a lot of times he's a nobody. He's got a 9 to 5, but he's like the hero of his buddies because in the bar on the weekends they're going, hey, what oil should I put in my car? Because you know what? He's out there at the dirt track on the weekends, and they're just, they're just getting by doing whatever they're doing.
They're
not
his
into
hero.
This stuff, yeah, and they're going like, hey, if I'm going to ask somebody, I'm going to ask them what to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask that guy, because to them, he's a professional.
Yeah.
He knows more about what's going on than they do, so he's that influence for that category. And to me, that holds a lot of weight. And so
Yeah.
the guy that's more active used to tell prior to social, when you couldn't see a whole lot what people were doing, on these smaller guys, I'd be like, look, I want to know everything that you're doing. Like, I know it's great you're on the racetrack, and that's great, but I can't sponsor you based off the fact that you're going to win a race,
Yeah.
right? Because it may never happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it
I don't
happens
know.
so often.
And that
it's
doesn't really
diluted.
do me any good. It's
Right.
everything you do between the races that I
Right.
want.
And I would tell guys, like, hey, give me your schedule. I want to know when you're going to, like, a Pet Boys grand opening. If you're going to your
Exactly.
local city parade, like whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
and, doing, now Cars and Coffees, things like that. I want to know everything that was doing, because that to me was more influential than even the stuff they did on the racetrack.
I want
The
to know why you're
racetrack-
passionate.
Racetrack gave them validity, right?
Yeah.
I think it makes them a valid person to be that influence
So
if they're at the racetrack.
Yeah.
But then that's how they get there. But then the real influence doesn't come from them standing on a podium going,
Here's my trophy.
Yeah.
right. The real influence comes afterwards when they're sitting in front of that car again at a local car dealership's, big summer sale, right?
Yeah.
And they've got their race car,
Yep.
and their people want to come
And they're
up and talk
talking to
them.
everybody. Everyone thinks they're a hero. They got a race car.
Right. And they're, you're envious. I'm envious of those people
Yeah.
a lot of times.
That is
those-
rad.
You know what's
those
cool
categories.
is I know you were one of Von Gitten's first sponsors, right? You were there at the very beginning of it. So, I mean, that's really cool, because what you're talking about reminds me of Von so much. Because he doesn't just go out there and do the racing.
Sure.
He is going to the Pet Boys Grand Opening. He's going and doing the AutoZone. He's going and
Sure.
doing the stuff outside of the racing to be that real influencer.
Well, and it worked, because look at where he's at now.
Yeah,
He did it right.
Like exactly, he's a great example of that, and honestly, it was more of like luck. I mean, that we ended up with Vaughn,
Yeah.
kind of not luck that Vaughn
we all need
succeeded.
luck.
Yeah, we all need it, right? But one of the things that attracted me to him is that he was just very charismatic. He actually, I think, 18 years. We just talked about this. 18
Oh my
years
gosh.
we've been sponsoring him, and it came from his first stop. He just came over to the guy that was managing our program in that category, and at the
That
time
is
we had a sport
amazing.
compact category, and he came
Sport
out.
compact?
Yeah. I mean, that was
That's
'cause you're
crazy.
18 years
Yeah.
ago, right? No P.
I remember-
you know what I mean? Entry sport, like those kind of
That's
things. Formula Drift was
incredible.
I
started.
remember
and
Keystone came to us one time, like, hey, you guys need to get in the sport compact. We're like, okay, we'll try.
yeah, right.
If you want.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And he came to us and was like, hey, help me out. And he was just an anomaly. He was somebody separate. And I think even without trying, he became an influencer before the influencer time.
Yeah.
That was just he was just charismatic in that way, and he was a character. And then when he started to get going, and he was on a regular program, he started to make success. He started standing out from these guys that were killing it, like some of the guys that are out there killing it.
Yeah.
And he was standing out because he would get out of his car and he'd climb the fence and he'd jump on the roof and he'd do all the stuff that made him a character,
Yep.
to stand out. And I was
He
always
built
like,
himself.
he was the Ric Flair of Formula Drift, right? You were like, dude, I champion this guy. I want to be there with him because he just seems so cool. And now
He's
he
so
has this
hype on it.
iconic brand that's Fun Haver.
Yeah.
Like, how else do you explain somebody like that?
Fun
right?
And
Haver.
that's what's so awesome
Insane.
about him is he was an influencer before influencers were influencers.
Right.
And he made the crossover.
Right.
A lot
Yeah.
of people that were influencers when we were younger before
Yeah.
social media couldn't make that crossover. He made the crossover and is probably could be done at doing it the best.
Right, yeah, and he's got multiple facets of it, right? He's got his own product line of products,
Yeah.
the RTR for all the Ford factory stuff,
Yeah.
and then he's got he's actually got a media marketing company.
Yeah.
You can really look at it that way, and it's like he's a marketing company that does racing, not the other way around.
It is
So
unreal.
It's like
Well, that's how it's, really that's how it's kind of supposed to be in the long run.
that's exactly right, and that goes back to the people you give a little more support from, and you just let them
Yeah,
do
you
what
let them
they
get it
do.
back,
They're
yeah.
good, and they're the ones that carry it for
Yeah.
you.
Well, I feel like we go on forever and ever. But before we should certainly get you on for a full-length podcast. I feel like we
Yeah,
have
we do a full-length one for
tons
sure.
to go.
yeah, we're
but-
down the street.
Exactly,
from
we're
each
so
other.
close. So it worked out well.
We're all neighbors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've all been there for too long. But you've been to many sand shows.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from this weekend sand show so far?
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I mean, I think we have probably the best weather we've had in a while.
It's
been
so
hot
good.
the
It
last
just
so
wasn't
many
last
weeks.
weekend.
Yeah.
Right. I think that helped with a lot of the turnout, but we were nonstop here. I mean, look, there's no denying this show's a monster in this area, and it's still one of the authentic shows that are left to this
Can't
category.
replicate it.
And you can't replicate it. And it's like people come out here and they want to leave with a trophy, and whatever that trophy is.
Oh, they're buying something.
K&N intake in one arm and a Gibson exhaust in the
Yep.
other, or dragging it in their wagon,
Yep.
and that's
Yeah.
their trophy. And they're
That's the
coming out here
best.
today,
So
and they're
stoked.
installing that
And they've been
tomorrow.
waiting for this
They've
day.
been waiting for this show to happen.
And they're saving that cash all year for it. I'm like,
Right.
and these are
Yeah.
just
Right,
your
right.
general workers. These are guys that are doing construction, and they're saving their cash coming out here, buying their stuff for their
Absolutely.
razors, their UTVs,
Absolutely.
And
their
it's like the
trucks.
start of the sand
It-
season.
it's a
too,
scene
for
season,
SoCal.
yes.
Like,
Finally
you know what I mean?
cooling down.
I know that every year when this show comes, I got to go, I got to light a fire under my ass because it's coming. I got to get my stuff together. Like, it's been
Yeah.
sitting there dirty
All
and things
6
falling off
months,
of it for the last
7
8
months,
months
yep.
or 7 months or whatever the case is. And I go, the show's coming. I got to get to work.
All my buddies are sending me texts and stuff of everything they're doing to prep their cars, everything. I'm like,
I don't want to think about it.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put air in my tires. I hope.
it's good.
Yeah.
I
I
hope
don't
it
have the
starts.
time to do anything different.
Yeah.
Well, I think for people that don't know what the sand show is, Sean, can you give us an explanation, and then we'll have Tony kind of elaborate on it?
I mean, the Sand Show is, it's one event. It's unique. It's one of a kind. It's tried to be replicated many times.
Yeah.
It can't. I'm sure it's not truthful, but I feel like almost like everyone that comes to the show, it's like the only show they go to. Like everyone that comes here, this is that show. This is their
big
show.
show, yeah.
It fits them. They can relate to them.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you go to the dunes and go to the desert, you have like your dune desert family, right?
Yeah.
And you might see them once throughout the whole trip, or you might camp with them the whole time.
Yeah.
But here, everyone comes together in one event. And it's when I say family, it's not the people walking around. It's the vendors.
Yeah.
It's the suppliers. The food. It's every single person that makes this show a thing. And so it's like it's a family get together for the sand industry.
Well, it's cool. It's like Polaris is here. They have their setup. Can-Am's here. And then everyone that makes all the aftermarket parts are here, too. So it's really awesome to have it all together.
I don't think there's – so the vendors have been here for a long time who are really into the industry.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone you can come here that say they don't like the show, and most would probably say this is their best favorite show.
I agree. I think that one of the great things about this is it's almost like a trade show, like it's like our SEMA, but it's for the consumer.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's what's great about it is that these guys can actually come and put their hands on these products that they've been waiting all year, all season, off season, to come try out because they're going, I really like that, but I got to be sure.
Oh, for sure.
And they want to come
I
look
always
at
want
it. and
that
it's a-
interaction,
yeah,
that feeling.
hand, and it's like this is their brick and mortar kind of opportunity that you don't see too often because you can go into any brick and mortar. There's a lot of companies out there, still out there.
My
shops that are
favorite
building
part
stuff.
so far is how many parents told me, we're here to buy an exhaust because my kids told me we need to get this exhaust. I'm like, yes!
Yeah.
It's working.
So there you go. The Happy Meal thing is working.
See, the Happy Meal thing is working, man.
I'm like, those dub cars we used to sponsor and put away back in the day are finally paying off.
It's all about being consistent with it.
Those Hot Wheels.
Right.
It's pretty incredible. But no, it's cool to have a show like this that you could actually come. The normal general public could come and buy products and see all the new stuff. And I think it's
It really
incredible.
is. I
Like
mean,
said, it's a badge of honor. They walk out of here carrying
They're
a wagon,
so
the most
stoked.
stuff they can fit.
sometimes I wish SEMA would allow it to be a little bit like that and allow that badge of honor. The one time a year they could buy direct from the manufacturers, their apparel, their everything.
I agree. I think we talk about. I talk about it to everybody that listens. Right. I think that we need a big change. It's no longer the time where a trade shows where people are waiting all year to see what happens.
Well, we don't have floppy disk anymore with new products on it, right?
Well,
Or
again, it's like
CDs
the best we can do is open up that magazine, like you talked about at the end of the month, and this is in the 90s and early 2000s. You're going like you're waiting to see what was new,
100%.
but now you're seeing it 25 times
It's
a
done.
day, right?
Yep.
So it's not as intense. A trade show isn't as necessary in that kind of way, but it is necessary for a lot of other ways. I mean, it's a huge opportunity to show off our industry and bring more consumers into that industry and show them how they can be unique.
Well, we
and
have
what they can do.
Mike Spagnolia now, president at SEMA. He's certainly familiar with the industry,
Yeah.
from his days and street scene, everything. I mean, Mike, I'm hoping you're listening. You know,
We'll send it to him.
But I feel,
Mike.
yeah,
Do the right thing.
I feel like if anyone is going to help take us in the direction, I'm sure it's a lot easier said than done on many levels.
For sure.
But I'm sure if anyone can get us pointed in the right direction, he could probably be the right person.
Well, and like you said, who knows what the right direction is? This is what we all think, you know, or not say all of us, but there's a lot of us that think that way, and other people think other ways, but it's
well,
scary.
other people have been there since the beginning, and we're like, okay, guys,
Yeah,
call it quits. Just call it quits. It's time for a change.
Add some value. Elsewhere.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
I
awesome.
can't wait to get you on again.
Fun.
I want to know the
enjoy
whole
the
story,
show.
everything, but yeah, it's been a great show.
We wish K&N the best. I mean, like before we go to, when we were first going to SEMA, like my dad, we going in, and we were so amazed to like have our sign and our banners next to K&N, going like, oh my gosh,
made
like
it.
what the hell? Like this is out of control.
Yeah, isn't it kind of
Like,
crazy that one area is kind of like that elite of SEMA?
It
that,
is.
Like,
It's
one
so
other
cool,
category,
man.
and you know, it's the companies that have been there.
It's you guys, the Edo
long.
Brocks,
That's how you
the
get there,
Gits,
right?
and
You
the
have
just
so
everyone.
many
it was
yours.
between what we will always
Yeah.
refer to as the GM booth and the
Yeah,
Ford
it
booth.
is.
Right.
It's in
Right.
between the
You're
GM and
in
Ford.
that area.
I don't
you were
know
elite.
whatever
That's the
booth it is
best.
right now.
Yeah, it's the
but-
best.
Yeah, right.
Whoever's there now.
Yeah, it's still the
Definitely.
Ford booth to us, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
still the GM
I'm
booth.
still going to call it that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
right
going to go
Ford.
there looking for the new Raptor. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look
Where's
for
it?
it.
I
Where's the
don't
new
see it.
Raptor? Wait, is this a Toyota?
Oh,
Cool.
man, awesome.
Well, thanks, man.
Ah, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate
We appreciate
it.
Having
it.
me is fun.
All right,
Love
next
it,
guest
dude.
coming up here in
Good
just a
times.
minute. All right, we're back. We got our third guest of the day. We're winding down the day. The show is, I think, officially closed now.
Yeah,
It's
yo,
officially
Lambo over
closed.
here said, Sean, turn the lights on. I'm like, bro, I want to go home.
I know he
It's
wants to go
7 o'clock.
home.
Tired. You guys are like, really?
Come on, guys. They want to go home, too. They've only been here since like 7 o'clock and sunburned and exhausted
Yeah.
from talking to everyone.
Yeah, I was
but-
up here about 10 o'clock last night also. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, because late night last night. But
Oh, yeah.
we got Dean and Mike from SF Raceworks. They're up in the high desert.
Yes,
they
sir.
build some insane UTVs, and they've been building UTVs for a very long time. So it's really cool to see them on the up and up and out here at the Sand Sports Show, man.
Right. Oh, yeah. My favorite part is the color. I've always kind of been a fan of teal. Even though when I was younger, like in the 90s when it was popular, I hated it. But now it's like coming back. I'm all about
It
the
is coming
teal,
back.
dude.
It's
It's
coming back.
rad.
People love that for sure. Most definitely on the teal.
Yep.
Awesome, man. So this is your third time here at the Sand Show.
Yes, sir.
What's some of your takeaways from today? Like, what's going on, man? Like, what's been the hype?
Well, it's been busy since the start.
Yeah.
First thing this morning, we had probably 400-500 people lined up at our booth for
Damn.
free shirts.
Yeah, so
weird.
We do this everything on the open. So we're right in front of the Blue Gate. So every day when it opens, right at 9, we hand out 200 shirts.
Wow.
So it's kind of
So sick.
unreal. And
Dude,
we-
that's awesome.
as long as you put it on, you can take it. So
Well, exactly,
Well,
right?
that's
And do
what
they
I
all
was
put them on?
99% of them do. It's
And when you
pretty
see them
wild.
walk away, take it off, you run down them and
Yeah.
punch
Put
them
it
in the face.
Damn, Sean.
Or we see them
violent.
walking. Yeah. When they're walking out tonight, I was like, hey, you took your shirt off.
Like, hey, put that thing back on.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah,
That's good.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the shirt. Appreciate it.
Well, that's cool. So you guys have a Pro R in your booth,
We do.
and obviously, I would say Pro R is like the vehicle of this year's show. I mean,
Most
people. You have a lot of people coming in the booth who've never even seen a Pro R, and they're checking it out. And then I'm sure your Pro R is beyond stock, right?
Yeah, pretty much everything is it's getting there.
So
Everything's
tell us
built.
about this Pro R that you guys built.
So this is actually the release of our Pro R 2-seat cage. So we just actually released it, us and another car here at the Sand Sports Super Show that we brought that for the first time.
Right?
So-
Is it a radius cage?
It's more the radius. A lot of people have been saying it has a ton of radius because, I mean, it's got
It's
a
a
lot
Pro
of
R.
radius. It's got a ton of
It's a
radius.
lot of
It's got a lot. So we get more of the sandy look, I think, coming from the desert world,
Yeah, going to the sand world.
going a little bit into a world we've never really been in. Being that we started 2 years ago, him and I together, to build a new brand of SF, it's kind of our first sand line. that's
So you
really
guys
done.
started more desert off-road, obviously in the high desert,
Racing.
like
Yeah,
racing.
so Dean started in 2014 building race cars.
Oh, sweet.
So
Damn, 14?
yeah, 2014.
It's crazy because I remember Dean back in the regional, like the Lucas Oil regional days. He
Really?
was building a bunch of cars back then.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
How'd you get your start, anyways?
Well, I went to Wyotech back in 2007.
Cool.
Then I, from there, went and worked for Desert Dynamics for a few years.
Okay, wow.
Oh,
From there,
Another
Jeffrey-
popular high desert brand.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. Then from there, Jeffrey's Racing, doing a lot of the big car trophy trucks,
Okay,
Class 1 cars.
yeah.
Awesome.
So, and then from there, I was like, well, time to get a real job. So I got a real job and kept doing it on the side, and that's when the UTV stuff started coming out. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to jump onto the UTV side. I mean, we can all hate on them as much as we want, everything, but they've really evolved quite a bit. I mean,
No, they're
they're
sick,
definitely
dude.
not the Razor 800 or the Yamaha Rhino anymore.
No, not anymore. No. Most definitely.
It's pretty incredible where they've come. What's kind of pushed you to keep building them and making them more badass as you go?
the manufacturers.
Yeah.
And
So the
customers and their
manufacturers-
money.
Well, yeah, and it's, the manufacturers keep pushing the bar too, so
Yeah.
it makes us step up and keep pushing the bar. So it's like the Pro R cage. Some people say it looks like a factory cage.
Yeah.
It might, but it'll save your life.
Exactly. Actually,
You know.
yeah, it'll actually do what it's supposed to do.
So, but it allows you, like the radius, the whole purpose of a radius, right, is to keep the low profile with the headroom.
Yeah,
still
exactly.
looks
That's
good.
the whole purpose.
It's
of-
more than just looks.
Yes.
I mean, everybody looks at a radius cage like, oh, it looks cool. No, you're like, no, that's not the purpose, man.
Yes.
Like, this thing's actually designed to save your life. Like,
Exactly.
I mean,
That's a
just
big
like
key.
the seat belts and the seats, and that's why the first thing you should do is belts, seats, and a cage.
Yep.
Like, if you value your life, you do
I
that.
wish everybody would think that way. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Right?
good for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be good.
I think it's supposed to be exhaust though first, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously. Like, come on. I mean, you need the horsepower before you need safety, of course.
Always. And the cool sound. You need the cool sound. That's what you really need.
The Pro R exhaust sounds amazing.
yeah.
yeah.
So, yes, you guys had, I mean, you were probably the first people to hear it, see it, touch it, feel it outside of anyone in our building. What do you guys think?
Unreal.
Impressive.
Impressive. The
To be honest-
feedback that we received,
Yeah.
I mean, we've started that car 200 times today.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing is from that
Hopefully got good starters on them.
we have cars at our shop with the other
Brands.
manufacturers
Yeah.
exhausts, and it's a full system. And to have something that's a bolt-on muffler
Yeah.
in sense, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
like
and the
like even just loading it on the trailer from when we pulled it in stock, just by putting that on, the throttle response is pretty stupid.
We spent a ton of time on that thing too, trying to figure out, the proper way. Because a big thing with us is safety too, and we're enthusiasts. And last thing I want is issues with an exhaust I'm going to put on my car. And there's so much heat generated with that factory exhaust and any aftermarket. You got to be very careful about where you're putting things, how you're putting it, and it's like. Yeah, if we're just driving it the whole time going down the road, you're not going to have any issues. But there's a lot of times with all these electronics on it, people have those things just sitting there idling for however long, to keep the battery charged, and it generates so much heat. So we had some really badass looking exhausts. I thought which I think looked even more sick than what we've got. But we just couldn't go that route because of just, we don't want the damn thing to burn down and melt down,
Yeah.
Right.
It just wasn't going to work. Like, we'd have too many restrictions and limitations of what you can't do with it. Like, okay, that is stupid. I don't even want that thing anymore. Right. But, yeah, even like the factory header, too. We spent a lot of time looking at the factory header, and the factory header is actually badass. Like, I mean, anyone that knows, like, the old 454s and the 460s and the old motorhomes,
Yeah.
a Tri-Y makes torque. This thing needs torque. That Tri-Y makes torque. Like, it doesn't look the prettiest,
Yeah,
but
they're not
it
pretty, but-
works. So, like, we try to keep it simple, too. We at Gibson, we try not to, like, oversell someone just because we can.
Right.
Like, that's just not who we are because we're enthusiasts. I don't want to be fucking oversold for anything like that. And so, like, it's like, here's what you need. Here's what's going to work. If you want more, go somewhere else. But this is what you need. I'm not going to take your money just because you want to give it to me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
That's a good way to do
but,
it.
yeah, well, that's rad. So have you guys also do Can-Ams and everything, too?
Yeah, so we do a full lineup. We do the Can-Am 2-seat, 4-seat, and then we're hitting the Polaris Pro R market pretty hard right now. That's our
Well, it's a good way to do it.
Because we were known as the Can-Am guys.
Yeah.
Really?
That's where we started. When we first started this, we started with the 2-seat and 4-seat Can-Am.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they're
not a
so
bad
sick.
car to be known for, but it's one of the most popular cars out
Right,
there,
yeah,
man.
it really is.
So it was a good choice. Good thing to be
Yeah.
known by.
Yeah. I mean, Mike came from the automotive industry, more than the
Right.
automotive industry.
Right.
What's your it's a pretty big transition. I mean, what's your takeaway from transitioning over to the UTV stuff?
I think the passion on this is so much more with the people.
Yeah.
The camaraderie and the people around this industry is unreal. It's more fun. The truck side, it's good. I mean, the stuff we were doing, we're doing the mid-long travel trucks, so
Yeah.
that stuff's cool, but
It's cool because we like it, right?
Right.
Like, we think it's cool.
Yeah.
But, like, here, too, I'm sure you guys had it also. We had, like, new people, don't even know what they bought, but they bought a side-by-side, and they're just, like, here to be, educated on, like,
Exactly.
what do I
So hyped.
need? Like, I got this thing. Like, a guy's like, why do I need an exhaust? What does an exhaust do?
Right.
I'm like, yes.
And
Awesome.
That's what we love too. Because me coming from the sales side, that's what we love educating and showing people this gusset actually means something. It's here for a reason. You know?
Why it's there.
Yeah, and that's why I tell people, being that we're right at the entrance of the gate, a lot of people see us first. They walk in, and I'm like, go walk around and check out, see if they have
what everyone else
gussets.
is doing too.
See what they're doing. See if they're running 2-inch 120 wall on a Pro R. Then they go down to 1 3/4. Just see the difference variation of what everybody's doing.
And most people don't think about the thickness, the quality of the cage, and everything till it's too late, till after the fact, right? And they go, "Damn, I wish I would have done that."
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, what's the weight savings?" So like, okay, see,
That's
Well,
not.
that happens more times than not with our window nets. So we push window nets on these cars.
why not, right?
Especially people with kids.
People lose their hands. Man.
And not even kids. It's I hate to break it to you, but you roll that thing and you're unconscious. You can't. Oh, I'm just gonna hold on to my seatbelt. So guess what?
Like that.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't.
it's that
no
slow roll. You're going real slow. You're like, ah.
Yep.
And that's the call we get the most of. A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
guys, we even talk to customers. They go back and forth on. We had one guy last year. He went back and forth on the window net, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold off. 2 months later, he called. He lost all 4 fingers.
Wow.
Well, so like in my
So-
cars, our sand cars don't have window nets, but every single person, it's a wrist
Wrist
restraint.
restraint, most
Like
definitely.
you have to wear it.
Right.
Like I'm sorry, I don't
Don't
care
get in
who
the
it is
car
in the car, whatever it is.
Whoever's
You're wearing a
driving.
wrist
Yeah.
restraint,
Yep.
and I lose them all the time, because they get walked off. But still, you're gonna
worth
wear wrist restraints.
Right.
But even on the Can-Ams on the new cars, window nets, dude, they look badass. Like
Right.
They
they
look
look
very racy, man.
Like,
They're sick.
I mean, you can't knock them because of looks. They look cool as shit, man.
Right.
But that's awesome because not many people are sitting there trying to advocate window nets and the safety and the aspects. And, I mean, that's like really where you're coming from. It's like, your name's, it could be safety first, right? That's
that,
what
safety
you're
first.
going for.
That's a good one.
I guess what separates? What separates you guys from the rest? You're talking about the way you build them, the safety, all that stuff.
Well, first and foremost, you can take any of our bolt-on production cages to any sanctioning body that races
Wow.
and go race.
Nice.
So
huge.
I don't think many
anything
people can say that, right?
Anything that allows, bolt-on cage, like in the sportsman class, the different class like that, you can take our cage and go race it because of all the proper corner gusseting, the window net options. That's what I've done for years, and there's a reason that stuff's implemented. It's not just, oh, hey, I can build this cage and do it for this amount.
Yeah, it's definitely.
If I just hold all these gussets out, but then you see those cages and
that comes from experience. Just seeing the worst of the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing the best of the best. And just being able to take that knowledge and apply it. And, you guys are standing behind your products.
Well, the best phone calls and the customers that come by the booth are, hey, so I rolled my car. Do you guys sell replacement roofs?
Yeah.
Because the cage is fine.
Cage is fine, of course. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's not a better feeling.
Well, you guys test your stuff too. You guys raced hammers this year, didn't you?
Yeah,
Last
we
year?
did. Yeah.
Really?
And
How
that
was
was
that
actually, we
experience?
put our bolt-on production arms.
Our whole
Sick.
Our whole
What kind of
everything-
car did you race?
A Pro XP.
Sweet.
So the whole goal, we talked sitting at
like
my
this.
house for
Christmas Eve.
Christmas
maybe?
Eve, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know what? Because we're like, oh, hey, Tyler's going to race this Can-Am. He's like, you know what? We should race the Pro XP.
Brand new.
So that's
Really,
2
let's
months
do it.
away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put
So-
a car in 2
and-
months.
And then our whole goal was like, oh, can we do this and build a full chassis and all this stuff? And we're like, you know what? No. Let's do everything that we have that's
Yeah.
production. Let's bolt it on this car
Yeah.
and beat the shit out of it and tell people
Hey,
we
you made
finished
it.
King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
And you finished King of the
We
Hammers.
finished
finished
King of the
King of
Hammers.
the
That's a huge badge of honor right there in itself.
Yeah.
Just being able to finish that.
Dude,
Yeah.
hammers is the gnarliest race I think ever.
Oh, it was
Well, I
rough.
think, too, it's because, it also requires a lot of patience, right?
a lot of patience, especially.
Like, you can't go out there and Robbie Gordon the thing right out of the gate and be the fastest one for the first lap and break.
Oh yeah, well, and it's too. It's like you see a lot of like the doors out there because people look at like, oh, we're testing suspension components. No, you're
Yeah.
not. You're testing our doors, right? We
Yeah,
have
true.
stock replacement skin doors for those Pro XPs. Well, those are dragging along rocks all day long.
Yeah.
And
And
guess what? You
No,
get to
and
the
you don't want them
finish line,
opening.
you get to the finish line, you open them, close them, and they work just
That's
fine.
amazing, man.
There's not too many
And you
people
can
out there
replace
that
just
could
a
say
skin
that.
on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
See,
Is that
that's
with all your
rad.
doors?
Sorry.
Is that with all your doors? All your doors you can replace skin?
on the Pro XP and the Pro R side, that's what we have as a replacement
Awesome,
skin because
man.
Polaris did really well with the frames on those cars.
Yeah.
On the Can-Ns, we do the actual frame and skin. On
Okay.
those.
Well, and that's just kind of like with us with the header. These other certain things you just don't need to re-engineer and do. If it works, it's good. Add your touch to it.
Exactly.
Carry on.
Well, a lot
like
of a lot of these companies spend how many thousands and millions of dollars engineering these products.
And safety testing.
I
You
say
know?
the same thing too. I'm like, I hate to say it. Player spends a little more time engineering that header than I do myself. Just a little bit. They got a slightly bigger budget. You know, might have more experience, but
It's so true, man. Any plans for this year? You guys gonna race hammers again?
We are.
Yes,
yeah.
we are.
Hell yeah.
So last year we weren't in the car together because, like I said, he was actually a co-driver with the customer that we were talking
Oh, that's
about.
right. Yeah.
But I think this year we're going to go and actually
Do it together.
We're going to go for it.
we're going to go for it. So
Nice.
we're going to start prepping. Actually, after this week, we're going to start prepping a car and do
Nice.
We're not testing products this year. We're
No.
out there to win.
You guys should go
we're
race.
We're going to go
racing.
compete.
Yeah.
We're gonna build a damn race car.
Yeah. It's in our backyard, so it's like we have to go
So
there
what
and-
class is
yeah.
that you're gonna be running?
we did
Oh,
pro
yeah.
mod
Well,
one.
the first year, first time, first everything, let's just jump right into pro mod, so we might as well do it again.
Yeah.
You might as well exactly. You're not gonna step down.
No, we can't.
Right?
You can't go with the pro class. And,
And then-
you know what?
yeah.
This year we're going to play with the rookies.
That was a little tough. You know, we're gonna go backwards.
So, well, it's
Dude,
like the little things, you know, we learned is we showed up out there, we sent him out to qualifying. He's like, man, this belt's slipping like crazy. Well, we just threw 35s on it with some clutching.
Yeah.
Well, you
Didn't
start
even think
talking
about
to
it.
people, and they're like, oh, no. You got to do gear reductions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gear
luckily-
reduction.
luckily
Like, how
I
do you
did.
do
We're
that?
desert racers.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
But
How do you
luckily-
gear
rock
reduction with a
crawling.
belt?
Yeah. So then he ran into a great group of guys, and
At the
they're like,
MRT,
the MRT booth, and they race, and they're like, oh, well, our son, that's what he does.
Nice.
He's like, bring your car down. We'll have it done by tomorrow morning.
sick.
No way.
So they did
While you're out there.
So they did a
Oh,
full
yeah.
gear reduction right there at King of the Hammers on the lake bed.
That's dude. I mean, that's game changing.
And
for you
it
guys.
changed everything.
Now
Dude,
it's a
that's-
billy goat.
You're like,
That's
oh wow, this
industry,
isn't slip
man.
at all anymore. In fact, I think it's got too much bite.
This industry is so cool because of stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone offers stuff like that, man. It's just so rad.
Well,
Don't
that
do
goes back to
anywhere
like what
else.
you guys were saying. It's just like, you know, the camaraderie that everybody has, the love.
Right.
Like it is a tight niche one. I mean, like, but I think it applies to any aspects of any off-road industry. Like when someone's broke down out there, you check them. You make sure.
Yeah,
they're
you help.
Yeah.
Same with the dunes, everything, because you realize like being stuck out there. Like I mean, we do everything we can to fix if we break, right?
Right.
And drive
Yeah.
the things back because we all understand
Yeah.
towing shit back sucks no matter
Yeah.
what you do.
Oh, yeah.
But and there's certain times you get in the situations like if someone were just to drive by and I don't know have a jack, it would change the whole scenario.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know,
You
like,
got that jack?
but everybody's got everybody's back out here,
Yeah.
and it's rad. And like when you see, it's just like a big group of friends and family
Oh, yeah.
hanging out here,
That's
and,
fun.
and that's
Yeah.
including the vendors, everyone. Like it's a whole.
Well, because at the end of the day, right, what are we doing? We're building products to keep you safe while you're battling the terrain. You're not
Yeah.
battling each other out there.
True, yeah.
You're out there
Oh,
battling
sometimes
the
it feels
desert,
like we're
battling-
racing, right?
You know what I mean? But you're out there to battle the terrain and to conquer what you're out there doing, not to, I just beat you. Like, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You go back, you guys all bullshit, you tell your stories around the
Barbecue, drink
campfire.
beer, hang out,
Yeah, and that's what it's about. So and that's when he got to the finish line. It's like, damn, it took forever. We broke. But, like, the whole time we're out there broken in the Can-Am because we lost the motor.
Yeah.
It's just laughing, watching these guys.
Yeah,
like, we
they're
literally
going.
raced next to them
That's
for
sick.
probably 20 miles.
It was awesome. We were going through the rock
Wow.
section
like,
and everything.
yeah, we were
That's
battling with each
awesome,
other,
man.
and we're calling stuff out for them. They're
It's
calling
so
stuff out
much
for us,
fun.
and it was
Yeah.
like,
And we're all on the
this is
radio
what
just
it's
having
about.
fun.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
And then you finish, and it's like it feels like a win, huh?
Oh, yeah. I remember
Dude,
right
I
when
feel-
we,
yeah.
when we finished, I was like, I'll never do this again.
yeah.
But 2
I
days
said-
later,
A week later,
yeah,
yeah.
a couple
Two days
days later, I'm like, what are we going to race
All right,
next
so what's the program for next
Yeah,
year?
exactly.
So here's what we need to
What are
do.
we racing next year?
You know, we were kicking around a KRX, we were kicking around this, we were kicking around that, and we're like, you know what? We're cutting the Pro XP up.
Yeah.
Sick.
Pro XP.
So there's going to be some exciting stuff going on with that
Yeah.
for sure.
That's
well,
cool.
we can't wait to see it, guys.
Yeah,
so,
stoked.
for our listeners and viewers out there, where can they follow you guys or see you guys? I mean, obviously, if your social media. I mean, what's your Instagram handle? And
Yeah,
stuff?
so SF Raceworks on Instagram. We are starting a YouTube channel thanks to
Yes,
a good
they
I
are.
over here on the corner.
Who would that
Actually,
be?
as of today, it was already
Ah.
made, so YouTube's ready to go.
Good. All right.
So,
Bitch shit. Hell yeah.
Gotta
Well,
do
you
it.
got a good guy over here.
great
I
guy.
think. No.
Maybe. He's all right. He
He's
might
the
be.
best out there.
Yeah, he's really rad. Well, that's awesome, guys. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for the support with the car.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
starting that thing up a couple hundred times for us
Oh,
today.
yeah, it'll start again
I'm
tomorrow.
sure all your
Tomorrow.
neighbors love it too.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's been a great show. Super stoked to have all these guests on the Lambo and Leroy show.
Yeah.
And we can't wait for next week. But thank you all for following along. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in the studio next week. But
Yeah, we haven't spent enough time with our guests like we'd like to, so
Yeah.
hopefully we will get our guests back in for a full
for full
episode. and
episodes, but
hear
those
about
great
what
new
makes them
teasers.
tick and how they start. But
Yeah.
the Sand Show, great. Sure, we'll see you guys again next year. And
Yep.
Yo, let us know with that Pro R. You might need an exhaust for it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll definitely need
Make
to.
it happen.
Yeah, when we have it. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow along on their Instagram, their Facebook, and their YouTube.
Their YouTube. We're there.
But I'll post everything in the link. So thanks for watching. We're out.
Cheers, guys.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got 'em picking up the pieces.